Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexandria, and if you are new here, thank you so much for joining me today. I make videos about personal development and finance, travel, and adventure, and so if those sound like things that you are interested in, consider subscribing down below to see more content like this in the future. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about something that's probably going to be a little bit controversial, and that is 3 reasons why I no longer follow Dave Ramsey's baby steps. Just a quick disclaimer, I do want to acknowledge the fact that Dave Ramsey is a personal finance expert and that he has helped thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt and stay out of debt. With that being said though, I did try out his methods. I stuck to them to the letter. I read his books, listened to his podcasts, and even watched his YouTube channel, and just found that a lot of the ways in which he encourages people to get out of debt did not work for me personally. So the first reason why I no longer follow the baby steps is the small emergency fund. Now, Dave encourages that while you are paying off debt, you have $1,000 in your bank that is only for emergencies. And he does say that this is only temporary and that you should increase this amount to 3 to 6 months, if not more, of your living expenses once you are out of debt. However, once COVID hit, I realized how small $1,000 really was. You know, if I had lost my job early on during the pandemic, I would have only been able to pay rent for a month or two before I ran out of money. And seeing this and thankfully still having a job, I realized that only having $1,000 in my bank during an especially tumultuous time was really scary. And so I decided that $1,000 was not enough for me. Right now I have about $3,000 in my emergency fund, which is still far less than I would like, but it is a bit more of a cushion just in case a larger emergency does happen or I do lose my job. The second reason I no longer follow the baby steps is Dave's advice to stop contributing to your retirement fund while you're paying off debt. And I understand why this might work for folks who have maybe $50,000, $100,000 or more in debt, but for me personally, I only had $35,000 roughly in debt when I first started. And I also started paying off my debt when I was only 22 years old. And so that combination of things really led me to question whether or not I should take this advice. The earlier you're able to contribute to and invest your retirement, the larger it will grow. And for me, it just wasn't worth delaying my retirement contributions 2 more years just to pay off debt a little faster. And the third reason I no longer follow the baby steps is Dave's aversion to credit cards. And now, before you come for me, I totally understand why he recommends this for people who have a strained or difficult relationship with money. Credit cards in the past were simply a tool for me when I ran out of money. They served like my emergency fund. I never really had a spending problem where I would treat it like it was my own money and go spend it. It was just simply there in case of an emergency. I definitely did get myself into a decent amount of credit card debt by doing this. I was paying for my groceries, my gas, and medical bills, things that I couldn't afford at the time. But since paying them off, I've really had no trouble only using those credit cards for specific things. And for me, those 2 things are gas and food. Those are things that regardless of a credit card or a debit card or even a cash system, I will need to spend money on every single month. And so for me personally, I'm able to budget my money and only spend a certain amount. Like for example, I only spend $200 on gas a month. That is my budget. And so I know every month that I can afford to pay off $200 on my credit card. As soon as I spend that money on the credit card, I will turn around and pay it off, which not only helps my credit score as I always carry a 0 balance, but it also prevents me from accruing interest. The biggest reason why I use credit cards is to build my credit score. Dave does not believe in credit scores. He thinks that it's a debt score, and I understand where he's coming from, but again, for me, it is just not very relevant. I'm 24 years old, and in the next few years, probably 3 to 5 years, I would like to think about purchasing a house. And I do live on the West Coast. I live in Central California, where the average house price right now is about $900,000. And with those high housing prices comes a high down payment. And for me, I'm very comfortable saving and preparing to put down 10 to 20%, which is a fairly standard amount for a home, especially on the West Coast. But I am not as comfortable saving up cash. I don't think that it's realistic to save, even $500,000 in cash to not need a loan or to qualify for a home mortgage. And I know that there are other ways to qualify for a mortgage that don't include credit or a credit score, but it's just going to make this process a lot easier for me, and that's a trade-off that I'm willing to make because, again, I have an okay relationship with money. Just to recap, the 3 reasons why I no longer follow the baby steps. A small emergency fund, way smaller than I'm comfortable with. I want to take advantage of compounding interest while I am young and to continue contributing to my retirement accounts. And third is that I believe in the responsible use of credit cards whenever possible. I hope that in hearing me question some of these pieces of advice, you'll start to think about how you can implement or practice his baby steps or another financial method in a way that is tailored specifically to your life and your future. Alright, you guys, that is all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a big thumbs up as it really helps support my channel. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe down below. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday and can't wait to connect more with you all in the months to come. I'll see you next time.